Hi there, Deadeye Delboy here, back with another video, and this time we are jumping into Daily Race C at Kyoto Driving Park, Yamagiwa in reverse. Now, you can see not a lot of time left before we get straight into this race, but I did notice this message in the lobby chat, which filled me full of dread, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Let's play fair or there will be carnage. Well, I've heard a lot about this race and I've put off doing it all week, even though I've got an OP qualifying time. Spent a little bit of time putting in the qualification, and to be honest with you, I enjoyed time trialling on this track, but I hadn't had the nerve to go into a race until now. And whilst we watch what's about to unfold, do what that message says on the screen, subscribe to the channel, you know you want to. We are almost at the magical 5,000 subscribers. Now, I will do a live stream as we approach the 5,000 subscriber mark, so let's make that sooner rather than later. And yeah, hit that subscribe button, you know you want to. And that's enough of the begging from me. So anyway, back to the race. So the first lap, really we just wanted to try and settle into it, just to make sure we didn't bin it, because we know that I have a tendency to, yeah, let's just say, have conversations with Barry R. So I didn't want to make an absolute fool of myself from pole position by putting it into the wall on lap 1. Certainly not at this speed, because as we know, the new damage model really does punish you, and it also, for some strange reason, gives you barrier penalties as well, as if the punishment of a broken engine wasn't enough. Anyway, as we come round the long sweeping right hander, and you can see they're just getting a bit out of shape, we almost lose the back end, but we save it. Unfortunately, the Frenchman gets an absolutely, well, he gets an absolutely perfect run on us up the outside, and we make a little bit of contact with him there. But yeah, I think that was just a case of me sort of not really knowing where he was, and he didn't really know where I was, so we make another little bit of contact, but it wasn't as bad as what happens to this guy in the radar. Yep, that'll be him gone from P3. So now we're one man down. We have got the lead car Frenchman in front of us now. We've given up that first place already. It didn't take long, and now we are trying to hang on to his coattails, or his exhaust pipes, shall we say. So through this sector here, the chicane, and it's a very, very tricky part of the track, really easy to lose it, but once you get into a rhythm of it, I did notice that it became easier once you were kind of confident what you were doing. But the dirty air round this long sweeping right hander was quite immense. I didn't realise how bad it was until I was actually behind the car. You can see we're now just trying to hold on to the Frenchman. He's definitely got the pace early on in this race compared to us, even though we were quicker obviously in time trial than him. But this corner was giving me a little bit of obviously concern, as I nearly lost it on lap 1, but we managed to deal with it pretty well in lap 2. So over the line we go. We're still trying to cling on to the slipstream of the Frenchman in front of us, whilst very, very acutely aware of the pressure from, well, the two-pronged pressure from the Germans behind us in the form of Leonidas Max and Agu, both obviously reasonably quick drivers, as they prove in this lobby. So yeah, we're on, you know, we're starting to settle in a little bit here. We've got a purple sector, so that's good. At least we kind of have a sort of feeling of the flow, and this is all about flow. You find that in time trial, it's not easy to get a good time trial lap, but what you can do in time trial here, as we go purple again on this track, is you can really just go for it on a hot lap. You can just throw the car at the corners and hope for the best. However, in the race you don't have that luxury. You also have a car full of fuel, so the car does handle slightly differently. You get a little bit more understeer, and obviously with the dirty air of any car in front of you, it can cause an issue. But we're still staying within the slipstream range here. But as you can see on this corner, we're just going to drop a couple of tenths, and I just, in my head, I don't think I realise the shape of that corner, because I'm certainly not clipping the apex at the right part. But that's for another session. I might go back to this track and see if I can master that. But anyway, what we are mastering is keeping Leonidas Max at bay in third, whilst being dropped by the Frenchman ahead of us. So into lap 4, as I said, we're starting to get a little bit of a flow of the race, and you know, starting to get a little bit of a comfort level. But this chicane here, it's such a crucial part of the track. You're coming down to it, you've just got to brake here, drop it into third, hope that the car stays settled over there and get on the power, because once you're onto the power as soon as you can, then this is obviously a massive, fast, high speed part of the track. And if you can nail this corner like this, flat out almost, having to lift there, and that's the problem. If you have to lift, then you do inevitably lose time to the cars in front and behind if they haven't. So yeah, very tricky to get that right. Very technical track, even though it's only 1 minute 20 seconds odd long. You know, there's a lot to be sort of dealing with between the high speed, the dirty air, and the sort of unsettling parts of the track. So anyway, still obviously maintaining P2, and we'll hop forward to the end of lap 5, because at the end of lap 5, this is where strategy then comes into it. You can see the leader, he's staying out, I'm going to stay out, but the cars behind me, you can see here, Max, and was it just Max? I think Max is going to be the only one to pit. But Agu stays out, Max pits, and a couple of others starting to come in now. So Max he's took the gamble. He's got out of my dirty air in the hope that he can get out and do a really quick outlap and possibly, you know, get the undercut on us. So I realised at this point that I really had to, you know, make this lap a decent one, because I'm going to come in at the end of this lap, so I can't afford any mistakes, can't afford to pick up any penalties. Even a slight slide here and there can cost you half a second at these speeds. So we've got to get this really tight, and we managed to take that chicane really quite well actually. So yeah, we're on course, I think, to fend off the undercut, but we'll see, because if Max has got a good run and he's got some clear track in front of him, then there is always the chance he could make it work. So we're 4/10 off our best lap, so it's not the quickest lap, obviously, so we really might, you know, this might be touch and go. And as I said earlier, this corner was giving me all sorts of problems. Take it a little bit better here though, and we can just hang on there, and we're going to come across to the right, into the pits we go, and we'll stick some soft tyres on there. We don't want to fuel up, and out we come. Are we going to stay ahead of Max in P2? We are indeed, and we've increased the gap slightly. However, he is obviously flying on this lap, and I just came out on cold tyres, and I don't want to bin it, so we don't do anything silly. So he's going to close the gap now. You can see it coming down there, trying to keep him out of that slipstream. And if we skip forward to lap 8, we've managed to drop Max a little bit. We've not really made any inroads. The Frenchman's not really got too far ahead of us, but once again, the same corner causing us the same sort of problems, and we almost drop it completely there. So it miraculously managed to keep the car pointing ahead, and I honestly almost rage quit because I was so annoyed at making the same sort of mistake again in the race, but I didn't. I kept the car pointing forward, and off we went. Now you can see the yellow flags are out. Now, is this going to be for a back marker, or is it something that's going to benefit us? And you can just see up in the right there, the Frenchman, he's had an issue. He's obviously went off the track on his own and suffered badly for it. He even got the dreaded barrier penalty, so he could have a broken engine and a 1.5 second penalty for his trouble. So it was a little bit bittersweet, because I thought to myself, if I had just not dropped it there, I would currently be leading this race. However, maybe me dropping it made him lose concentration. He possibly looked at the leaderboard and saw me disappearing, and maybe he just dropped a little bit of concentration. It does happen. I've done that more times than I would like to remember. So yeah, it can happen. So a little bit of concentration loss, and all of a sudden you find yourself pointing in the direction of a grandstand. So here we are, P3, still in the podium. We've got a bit of a cushion now to the Frenchman, who I know is going to serve a 1.5 second penalty, which is good. So 3 laps to go, sorry. It's going to take a little bit of a miracle to win it, to be honest with you, but something's happened up ahead there. No yellow flags, but there's been a change in the lead, and Max is slowing down. He hasn't got, well, he's obviously had an issue. He's very slow coming up to this hairpin. He's running a little bit wide there, so we seize the opportunity there and dive up the inside, and all of a sudden, from almost binning it, we have managed to get back up to P2. So P2 with what, just over 2.5 laps to go. It's going to be a tough task to catch the German in front, but what I do know is that we probably are a bit quicker than him, given our respective quality times, and he now has the cursed position, because so far everybody who has led the race so far has binned it in some way or another, because I started in pole, lost it by almost, well, sliding round turn 1 to the Frenchman. The Frenchman then lost it by binning it somewhere around about turn 2 or 3, and now the German, he has lost it round about the same place. The Frenchman lost it, so the 4th different leader of this race is now Agu the German. So yeah, it's going to be, as I said, a tough ask, but we are making slight inroads into his 2.5 second cushion, and it's really just about trying to put down a couple of quick laps. You can see lap 10 was actually our quickest lap of the race with a 22.3. Not obviously super quick by any stretch of the imagination, but quick enough to perhaps put a little bit of pressure. You can see now we've got the gap under 2 seconds, which is, you know, a little bit of a psychological thing when you're leading a race and you can see somebody has, you know, if they were leading by 5 seconds and all of a sudden it's into the 4s, then all of a sudden it's into the 3s. It's one of these things when you're leading a race, the pressure, the feeling that they're quick, and you can see we almost lose it there. But yeah, it's that little psychological boost. So now I'm just trying to think, maybe I can get it down to 1.5 seconds and put a little bit more pressure on that way. But you can see that little slide just lost a few tenths again, and it's crept back up over 2 seconds. So yeah, that's going to make it a very, very, very tall order now going into the final lap. But we do have a comfortable gap between ourselves and P3 as we go quickest again. Starting to threaten to go into the 121s there, so a nice lap for me anyway. And you can see what that's done to the delta between myself and P1. He's noticeably quicker, he's noticeably closer on track now, and you can see that delta is coming right down now, and we're going quicker again. You know, we're on course for a really quick lap, certainly a sub 122 at this point, and that's got to put, as I said, a little bit doubt in the mind of the leader. So we got it down, we're almost into the slipstream now, so this is crucial. Get this chicane right and this could make a big difference to the race, but we don't get it right. We just dropped 2 wheels onto the grass here. We'd managed to avoid spinning out, but you can see we just lost our momentum there, and it just kind of took the wind out of my sails, so to speak, as we come round the fast flowing S section here. And yeah, the gap is back up. We're just cruising round now. We know it's all about just securing P2, barring a miracle that gives us P1, but it's not going to. In fact, we're going to almost go off at the end there, but we managed to stay on and cross the line. We take P2. It's not the worst result considering where we fell back to. We fell back obviously to P4, and it could have been a lot worse. We could have completely dropped it, but we didn't. We fought on. We've got the P2. It's a difficult race. It really is. If you've tried it this week, you know, let me know in the comments what you thought. As we take a quick look here to see some of the incidents that happened in the race. We've got the overtake on myself. You can see I really yeah, it's a little bit of a coming together. Looking back on it, probably a bit on me there. Really didn't know where he was or when he was going to turn in. And then when we come down to the S's here, he's obviously on the brakes early because he's got a slightly different angle coming in, and we touch him again, but no harm, no foul. Well, moving on then, we'll see what happens in terms of the Frenchman. How did he give up P1? He just got on there, onto the curb and slid, and that is horrible. He's got a big broken engine and a 1.5 second penalty to boot. So yeah, as far as his bid for race glory, that was the end of it. They're not going to come back from that, I'm afraid. And here's Max, he goes off as well. Yep, he manages to avoid the engine damage, but he's obviously got really dirty tyres, and that's compromised him all the way up the hill. And you can see we're going to just come up on the rear end of him here, and we just wait for him to go wide there and then make our move up the inside. So happy to get that move done. But yeah, all in all, quite an entertaining race to be involved in. It's one of those races you can't take your eyes off the road for a second. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully it's encouraged you to subscribe to the channel and hit the like, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you could do that, that would be much appreciated, and I will see you all on the next one. Goodbye.